Hello there, happily married woman. It is Dr. Siobhan Parad here, founder of Relatable, and I am here as your marriage coach to provide you with the mindset and skills to create a happier and more loving marriage, all without having to make over that husband, because Lord knows you have tried, right? Lord knows you've tried and it hasn't worked. So today I thought I would come on and talk with you about this situation that can happen from time to time where, your husband's mood might affect your mood. So the title of this post is Don't Let Him Take You Down, right? So it's all about how to maintain your own peace of mind, your own joy and happiness and whatever emotion you want to feel, regardless of what he's doing or not doing. So all of us have, people or situations in our life that can really sort of bring us down, right? That maybe at the end of the day, you really do want to feel happy, but, the energy that someone brings or a comment that someone makes or just an attitude that they have really makes you, quote unquote, feel some type of way. And then you find that you're not feeling at all the way that you want to feel. And so I wanted to come on today and talk about that situation and talk about it specifically when it happens within the context of your marriage, right? And so when that person is your husband, it's particularly challenging, right? Because if it's a friend or a family member or a coworker, there's some distance between you. So you don't always have to be around them. You can set up some boundaries to sort of protect yourself and protect your emotions. But when it's the person that you're united with, when it's the person that you should be on one accord with, that you're interacting with most, it's really hard. And I just wanted to first acknowledge that, that it's really difficult when someone that you're around is just not in a good mood. It can really easily bring your own mood down. And if you find that that's the case, I just wanted to offer a little bit of explanation for why it might feel so hard. And I do have notes, so if I look down, I just want to make sure that I don't forget anything that I'm saying. But one of the first points that I wanted to point out is that when we get married, we sort of subscribe to this happily ever after, that being married means that our life will be better than it was when we were single, which is, can be true if you are intentional about making it true. But we subscribe to this notion of happily ever after, that everything is going to be all good all the time. And that's just not the case. And so when you have a down day, when he has a down day, it becomes this situation that in our minds shouldn't be there. We've created this resistance and we're fighting with the reality that some days you're just not going to like each other very much. And so the sooner that you can get to a place of acceptance with that, the sooner you can move through it. So that's one reason why, his mood and his energy can really affect you, because you really think it shouldn't be that way, that he should always be a source of joy and happiness and positivity and support for you. And you don't give him permission to have an off day, to have a bad day, to be in a bad mood, to be upset with you. And a lot of times when he is, what happens is you then get upset at him, like, how dare he be mad at you, right? But again, as I shared on a previous live stream, sometimes you have to look in that mirror and look at yourself and see, well, what am I giving him to respond to, right? Am I being so pleasant that it's irresistible for him to be pleasant back to me? And if you're not always pleasant, then that should give you some clues to why he may not always be pleasant around you as well. It always starts with you and taking that good look in the mirror, which is what this month is all about. So what I really want to hone in on, though, is that you can't let him take you down, right? So if you're in a place of wanting to be happy, if you're in a place of wanting peace and joy and contentment and fulfillment, you have to really understand how he doesn't have to influence that. How you can really set up in your mind and be intentional about what you are creating so that whatever he's doing is of no consequence to you. And so I want to give you just a recent example, even from my own personal life. So many of you know my birthday was this weekend. Thank you for those of you who shared a happy birthday message with me. So my birthday was this weekend, and it was 40 for me, which is a milestone birthday. And I went back and forth a lot about what I wanted to actually do. And my husband and I are similar in many, many ways, and we're different in some pretty important ways as well. And so I am typically sort of an over-the-top person when it comes to celebrations. I like surprises, I like presents, I like to do things up, right? And so as I thought about my birthday, I knew that I wanted sort of this over-the-top experience of a lot of fun and a lot of laughter and, just a joyous occasion. My husband, on the other hand, is pretty reserved, and he's pretty conservative when it comes to spending money, and he's pretty conservative around how he likes to celebrate things. And so I had this choice, right? So it's like, okay, well, I want my birthday to be this particular type of experience, but I know him, and I know that that's not his nature. Like, that's not the type of experience that he is really all about. And so I sort of had to make the choice of what to do, right? And what I ended up deciding to do is to really kind of have the best of both worlds, where I had a weekend with my girls who are just as over the top and crazy and fun and as, silly as I am. And then when we went away for the weekend, my friends and I, and then when I came home, my husband and I had a wonderful dinner together. And, it was really sort of a moment, right, where I had to sort of reconcile where I was going and what I wanted for myself in terms of my own emotions and the experience I wanted to have versus what I was expecting him to provide me. And, as I sat and thought about it, preparing to come on, it was sort of like, well, he doesn't have to be invited to the party. And even if he is invited, he doesn't have to come. And, I'm giving you that example from a birthday celebration, which when we think about the grand scheme of things is not as heavy and serious as some of the things that you may be dealing with in your own marriage. But what I wanted to just sort of highlight from that example is the same notion that when it comes to your own personal development, when it comes to you becoming the person that you feel proud of, when it comes to being able to manage your emotions and being able to respond to situations in ways that actually make you proud and not ashamed, that he doesn't have to be a part of that party. Like, you don't have to invite him. He doesn't have to co-sign. He doesn't have to give you permission to become the best version of yourself. Like, that's your choice, right? And so, I speak with a lot of women who feel like they're in this place in their marriage where maybe they are evolving more than their husband. Maybe he's unemployed, or maybe he's in a job that's sort of a dead end. Or maybe he's just not after the things that you are now after, right? So you're progressing and you're evolving at a different rate. And you're sort of looking over your shoulder, not really enjoying your party, right? Your own evolution, your own personal development, because you're so concerned that he's not coming along. And I just wanted to come on and tell you, like, he doesn't have to. Like, don't let him bring you down. That if you know within your heart and soul and mind that there's a skill you're supposed to be developing now, that there's an area in your life that you're supposed to be growing, that there's a dream you're supposed to be pursuing, then go do that, right? You don't need his permission to become a better person. And this group and all of the work that I do is around you becoming a better person, about you being able to take responsibility, you being able to be intentional about how you show up in your life and the decisions you make and the responses you have two particular situations, and that has nothing to do with what he's doing and not doing. And the sooner you can see that, the better, right? This is the place to be selfish for your own personal development, right? Pursuing the better parts of yourself, right? And not being taken down by someone who maybe isn't there yet, or who likes to do things differently than you do, right? And so I know that as I come on and share it, is easier said than done. I know that. I am a wife with the same emotions that many of you have, and this is something that I've had to be very intentional about developing within myself, right? To focus on where I'm going and where I'm headed, and to do that with gladness and joy, and to, accept where my husband is, right? And so that's what I did with this birthday celebration. I wasn't upset or annoyed, like, oh, he's no fun. It wasn't that at all. It was like, how can I look at this differently? How can I maximize, the time and the experience that I want to have? How can I create what it is that I want, while also appreciating, recognizing, and honoring, the relationship I have with my husband? And it really was the best of both worlds. And I want that for you too. I want you to be able to develop yourself as a woman, as a wife, as a mother, as a professional, while also appreciating and looking for the good in the situation that you find yourself in, your marriage, and the relationship that you have with your husband. And so I want to just give you a couple of tips for doing that. And this is where I will look at my notes, because I want to make sure I don't forget. And the first thing I want you to do is really just, for a moment, think about a complaint that you have about your husband, right? And I know that there are probably many, but I just want you to identify one. Identify one complaint that you have about him. Some way you wish he was different, something you would wish he was doing, whatever it is, identify a complaint you have about him, okay? So once you have the complaint, then I want you to just think for yourself, like, how do you respond when that situation happens, right? So if you feel like your husband is messy, or that he doesn't listen, or that he's not as fun, or that he's not affectionate, and doesn't show you, all the romance that you want. When you find yourself in those situations, how do you respond? Like, what do you do? What do you say? What do you think? How do you respond? Okay. Just be honest. There's no judgment about it. And then what I want you to do is identify how you would actually like to respond. So you've heard me say this a lot, that, you want to behave and be the type of person that you are proud of. And so when you think about yourself being confronted with whatever complaint you have, how do you want to respond? Like, who do you want to be in that moment? Right? So think about that. Who is it that you want to be? And then the fourth step in this is to choose to be that person, to choose that response, right? So if you want to be able to respond with patience and understanding and kindness and contentment and love, if that's how you want to respond, then choose it, right? Because the first step was identifying that trigger, which is so important. So you know what the trigger is. You know those moments that are going to drive you nuts. And instead of being led by your emotions, I want you to be intentional about choosing how you want to respond in that situation. You'll see in the post here, this hashtag, be intentional. That's one of the principles that's so important to being a happily married woman, because being a happily married woman is about your mindset and your state of mind. It's not about the circumstances in your marriage, right? Because no marriage is perfect. No husband is perfect. And you can choose to be a happily married woman at any moment, right? And so as we think about the situations where it's easy to let your husband bring you down, I want you to refuse that from being your reality. Just cut it out. Cut it out as a possibility, and instead choose how you want to respond, and respond that way, right? And so I know that this is easier said than done, right? And I know a lot of you who've been following me for a while, or those of you who watch all of my videos and blog posts and everything, you're like, I've been doing everything you say and it's still not working, right? And the reason it's not working is a lot of times you don't give it the time, right? So everything I teach requires patience, patience, consistency, and practice, right? So you may listen to this live stream now, you may watch this now, you may try what I'm suggesting for like a day, then you'll forget about it, right? Because you don't have that practice. You don't have the consistency. You haven't developed a habit of making these things part of your second nature. And so I want to encourage you that there's nothing wrong with the process. There's nothing wrong with the principles that I share with you. It's that you haven't developed the patience, the consistency, and the practice to see them through so that you build your muscle and that these things become automatic for you. So right now it's feeling like an uphill battle that you'd rather not engage in. But if you commit yourself, right, to being intentional on a consistent basis and you practice it day in and day out, it'll get easier. I promise. So again, I just want to encourage you, don't let him bring you down. That whatever emotion you want to feel, whatever experience you want to have, whatever woman you want to be, that's always your choice. And that what he's doing has nothing to do with it. You can create whatever it is that you want within yourself. And it starts with having the right mindset. And that starts with being intentional and being really clear about who it is you want to be. So I hope that this has been helpful. I will look in the comments to see if there are any comments, and I will definitely respond to all of them there. I am doing this live stream from my computer, so I can't see the comments as they come up. And if you are joining me live, hello. I am not ignoring you. I'm really excited that you are here with me. I just can't see it from my computer. So that's it. That's what I have for you tonight, okay? So be intentional. Don't let him bring you down. All right. Have a wonderful, wonderful evening, and I'll be back with you sometime soon. Bye-bye.